I wanted to do a Bitcoin update. Somebody had asked me in one of the comments, and it makes sense based on the price level target. We just like blew right through it. You know what I say about price levels, guys? It's like it's the final frontier of SO meta, but to follow the sequence of events is much more helpful. So in a case where we've blown through the price level, we're still basically on track. We had a low here just at the end of the month of January, a lowest low for the year, right? And then we had this big move in February, uh, increasing with momentum moving forward into March. Now, the early part of March, we've got like sideways fluidity, or you can see we have like this big move up, big move back down, big move up. So this second move, like this move up and this move back down, is like sideways fluidity. This second move to the upside is probably this ruin right here, combined with uh, the arrowhead. Interesting. And technically, right now, we do have a high that formed starting out of a decline and going from the bottom of a range to the top of a range. Right here. Right here. We declined, and then from the bottom of a range, we went all the way to the top of a range. So we're probably getting close to the highs. Based on the timing of what I see here for March on the 1 year, which, if you're wondering, if you're new to the channel, guys, the 1 year was created. Where is it? June 16th, 2023 at 10:34 p.m. Still used today, every day on the live. We use it every single day on the live. Nowhere else will you find that type of information with this type of accuracy. So what we had here is a high somewhere between the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. And you can see the reason why it was difficult for me to determine exactly where it was is because we were making new highs. That makes sense to me now. But we came up here, the Ace of Swords. This is where I think things may seem to some people a little off track, but it's actually still on track, and I'll show you why. So we've got the Ace of Swords price level here on the 12th, which is this resistance here. Matter of fact, I should mark that off for everybody. Um, Gonna put that over there for now. Anyhow, so we had this resistance level, this Ace of Swords resistance level that's highlighted here. Well, first off, on the 11th, we had this decline that preceded this big move higher, creating an opportunity to open up a long position. Right, we go into this big move higher. We establish this resistance level here, and then on the 12th, we have this move off of the resistance to the downside, where you could open up a short and close it same day, and open up a long same day with the expectation that we would return back to that resistance, and we did. But here's where things might throw people off a little bit: it's that move from the bottom, like that move from like the out of the decline back to upward, back to the resistance. It continues here into the following day. This right here on the 14th looks a lot more to me like sideways rotation and the power card. Tomorrow we probably have some sort of important trough. I don't foresee it being a lowest low because there's nothing really indicating a super big decline. On the 11th, we had that decline, right? The unicursal decline. But there's nothing really indicating one here so much. It's kind of like mixed, and then over here on the 18th, 19th, 20th, we have a low. And in a lot of the March readings, we have a low here around the 18th, 19th, 20th, and another one around the 25th, 26th, 27th. But there's also cases where we saw that, like, there's some potential to see a peak here as well. Now, you have to keep in mind from the standpoint of, like, I guess it's a pretty good move. And that would make sense. The overall theme being the Prince of Swords. We've got a lot of price change covered. I might consider this like where we're at right now. I might consider that like sort of piece price level as well. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But don't be fooled, guys. There's a unicursal off of the high, a pretty big move off of the high. That might mean since we didn't see, well, I mean, we might see a huge one tomorrow, but I'm not seeing it on the timeline. What I am seeing is a possibility of a high over here around the 19th, 20th with a sharp drop, unicursal drop off of that. So that might be an indication that the high is here. But overall, the Prince of Swords is a really difficult kind of card to determine overall direction because it can go either way and it's very volatile. So there is possibility that we have a high here with a sharp drop, or it could be that we have like a minor drop followed by a big drop. It actually might be that we see the same high, actually. It might be that we see the same high. Matter of fact, I think it's that we see the same high. And the reason being is that that's usually the case with the disappointment card in the high significator position. You first have a failed attempt at a resistance level. You come back and you falsely establish support. And then you go back to that resistance and it looks like you're going to break through because of the falsely established support. But instead you like maybe fake out and it looks like you broke through momentarily. But you turn around and you decline through the price level of the falsely established support. In almost all cases, that's what I see. So this could be where we have the same price level again and we have that failed attempt. Oh, this is a cross-street incongruency right here. Interesting. Okay, so I do think that this is the high, guys. I just noticed this is a cross-street let me make sure that's a cross-street incongruency. That is a cross-street incongruency. What do I mean by cross-street incongruency? I'll explain to you in just a second. Let me mark it off. Oh, I have it marked off there. Should be thicker though, but that light blue circle is marking that off as a cross-street incongruency. The exact same ruin appears at roughly the same time on the timeline here on the Bitcoin 1 year in the March cluster. About midway through the month, you see that ruin, and that ruin is very, very close to where the high is. There's like this big move near the high. Interesting. And then when we get into April, we've got the death card here. This is like a really strong indication that we have like a significant bottom. So as far as the 1 year, for those of you that don't watch the regular lives, hey Chad, doing well. How about you, my man? For those of you that don't watch the normal, like the lives regularly, we already just established quite some time ago that this bottom that I see here at the end of March, in the actual sequence of events, it's looking more like it's taking place here in April. And that would probably push the high that we see in April here into May. But in any case, this is like a multi-month buy opportunity. But this is pretty mixed. Like there's a trough in there. There's a pop and drop on around the 15th after a move higher that ends sideways rotation. Right? So we probably decline first and then there's sideways rotation and a move higher with a pop and drop and then sideways, like a mixed sideways S formation, more probably to the downside around the 16th, followed by another pop and drop, a more prominent pop and drop on the 17th. Usually, sometimes this is more of a decline, but it's usually a pop and drop. And then on the 18th, off of the drop from the 17th into the 18th, we should have another like pretty notable move higher out of the prominent trough. I've got a lowest low somewhere around here. But in any case, as far as price level is concerned, my original predictions from like way back in like 2022 when did I do this 10-year? I think it was 2022. Let me double check. Whoop. June 29th, 2022, and it looks like I probably had to like screenshot the video to create a new photo. It looks like I lost the photo or something there, but it was created in June 29th, 2022. Original prediction that we probably see like 150K by the time we reach into 2024, 2025. And then I did this price level like Curie that obviously wasn't successful. Sometimes they're not. That like really like reduced my expectation down to like below 65, and I was so surprised by that. But hey, here we go. We've blown right through it, so my gut instinct was correct. And what's important to point out is that on the multi-year, we have a high correlation here in 2024. On the timeline, we have cross-reading congruency for the Knight of Cups appearing in the 2024 one-year reading. It's the card for the 2024 year, or the year of 2024 in the multi-year. So that's a pretty strong cross-reading congruency, indicating that as far as the sequence of events, we are on track on the multi-year as far as like the timing. So sometimes you have to give it plus or minus a year of wiggle room, maybe even two in some cases. That's why you always want to follow the sequence of events. But in any case, so there's a high correlation for 2024. We're on track for the timeline for 2024. We've obviously already hit an all-time high, but I think we probably still go higher this year, not necessarily so much where we are right now. If we do go higher, yeah, I mean we're probably going to go higher somewhere here in May based on us being pushed out a little bit on the sequence of events. On a 1 year, if you don't know, you need to give it about 2 weeks of wiggle room. But again, always following the sequence of events that will keep you on track in cases where you do need to wiggle by 2 weeks. And that's because each of these cards on the timeline represents about 2 weeks. Not each card's energy is going to line up perfectly with 2 weeks of time. It just doesn't work that way. It might, and if it's not here in like April, May, like probably May. If it's not here in May, matter of fact, we've got the 10-year high right here. So this might be it right here with the science card and the 10-year high correlation, right? The futility card appearing very, very close to something like a science card could be indicating that, especially because we're pushed out into like May is where the expectation of this high here in the sequence of events. It's probably time wise more so at the end of May. So there's probably a high, like a highest high there, and if we go higher than that, I think it's probably at the very end of the year. But I wouldn't be shaken up because we've broken through 65K. Like I always say, guys, the price levels are probably the weakest part of any of my predictions are price levels. It doesn't mean I'm like wrong all the time, but I have a lower probability of being right, probably in like the 75 range, versus when I'm talking about chart behavior and timing, that's up there in the 90s. Right? And you can see we've got this kind of all of this has been very accurate. And what we see next in March is this is a pretty sharp decline that takes place. This ruin appears prior to the decline. And you can see there's some pretty deep troughs right here. But in any case, guys, that's the Bitcoin update. Hopefully that clarifies some things for anybody. Not always going to be right, especially when it comes to price levels. When I am wrong, it's almost always on a price level. It doesn't mean I'm always wrong on price levels, but when I am wrong, it's almost always a price level at this point. Sequence of events still very accurate. Reading still very reliable. If you're wondering when the March reading was made, January 8th, 2024. The April reading, February 2nd, 2024. And May, which I just laid those down. I'm a little behind schedule here. March 9th, 2024. With that said, guys, hey, Gayatri Reddy. I'm doing well. How are you? I was just doing a quick update on Bitcoin, and I'm just going to roll. Thank you all for watching, my friends. And I'll see you guys in the morning. We got an early morning session tomorrow. And I'll see you guys there.